Well, that's a good question, but
Jesus is the son and God is his dad, and that's all I know.
Yeah, just this man with long hair on a cross. That's about all I know.
Typical long hair.
The typical, yeah.
Hey guys, we're out here today and we are asking people on the street about their faith, Christianity, and what their opinion and view is. Come along with us.
What does it mean to be a Christian?
It's just having a set of beliefs, and I think it's like any religion, and even if you don't have a religion, I think everyone follows certain beliefs and attitudes and values.
that's the same thing as me saying I'm a Muslim. That's your belief. I follow Islam, you follow Christianity.
I feel like we've all been surrounded by it to an extent.
Living by the commandments, I think, is Christian.
It's like a relationship, like with God, and yeah, it's like a personal thing between you and God, not just like you must do this, I guess. Yeah.
I honestly don't really know much about it, so I don't really have an opinion on what it is. Like
People in my life who are very serious about Christianity, and then other parts where they're like,
Who do you think Jesus is?
Well, that's a great question.
I don't really believe in Jesus, but I know that there is something about the destiny and everything, but I don't know if it's Jesus.
In Islam, we call Jesus Isa alayhi salam. So that's who he is. That's our prophet.
I don't know whether I even believe in him or not, so I don't really have an opinion about who he is.
But I've always had this image in my mind of someone on a cross, just because that's who you see in my nana's house. I don't know, I've always thought of him as a figure, this male figure, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Jesus is the son of God, and he was on the earth, and then he died on the cross, and then rose again, so that we can have a relationship with God and go to heaven.
Yeah, just this man with long hair on a cross. That's about all I know.
The typical long hair.
The typical, yeah.
Is there a difference between Jesus and God?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
It's okay.
I have no clue.
So what I've learned is that God was Jesus' father.
I'd say that Jesus is the flesh form of God, and God's more of a spirit.
God is a higher power, and then Jesus is his son.
Yeah.
And then you can rely on them kind of as equals. So if whether you speak to God or whether you speak to Jesus, it kind of goes from one through the next. It's kind of just one higher power.
Huge difference, because our God, his name is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one and only. He's the only God. He's the one who's created everything. And you got all of his companions, you got all of his prophets.
I honestly don't know any difference. I actually asked someone in my family and they didn't know either, but I just think Jesus is... Actually, yeah, I don't know. Jesus is the son and God is his dad, and that's all I know.
I have heard that there's two different kind of stories and backgrounds to each, and I know people do have different beliefs in it, so I think that they can be different.
If what Christians believe was real, would you believe in it?
Well, that's a good question, but
It's hard to change how you feel about something, but if it was shown enough, and then I wouldn't put it past it. I'd never say no to something. You always got to keep a door open.
I was born Muslim, born and raised. So for me to know or see another pathway of another religion, it's kind of a disrespect to myself as well, and my own beliefs and my religion as well. So I feel even if Christianity was the real deal, I wouldn't go for it.
I think so, yeah.
It's not really about what's true or false, it's about what you believe.
Well, if I could pick on my own, I probably would, but I got born as Muslim, so I only heard about it, and I'm not thinking of changing religions.
Hey guys, it's me, Matt.
And I'm Michaela.
And we've just been on the streets today having some great conversations. They were pretty good, don't you think?
They were amazing. Shall we have a conversation about it?
Let's chat about it. It was really cool today. The first hesitation of, you're going to talk to strangers, which can always be a bit confronting, But what really stood out for me was the next group of guys that we interviewed there. They were firm believing Muslims in their faith
Wow.
there, which I found really admirable how, firm they were in belief in their faith there. It was really interesting to find their perspective, because sometimes we can just be, in our Christian echo chamber that all we hear is our own thoughts and our own opinions and other Christians' thoughts and opinions, that we actually don't, lift our eyes up and see there are other people in this world,
We also had a young gentleman. He was a Muslim as well. This interview definitely opened up so much, even for myself, and I think challenged me of, there's actually other things that a barrier between them believing in Jesus than I thought it was. Then it's not just us and our responsibility to be like, why aren't they believing in Jesus?
Yes.
But it's actually so much more to that than just what we think in ourselves, or even what we grow up in the church. He knew what Jesus was and knew what God was. So it's just interesting to see that some people actually know who Jesus and God is, but it's that line in that between, but to me it's not personal, or to me it's just someone that someone taught us or someone knew.
Well,
I
I
that was
loved
cool.
as well, like what you said there was the openness. I think, I know I can so easily be like, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want, to hear me say it, or, someone doesn't want to hear my opinion or my belief, but just hearing their openness to it, which in a good way really took me by surprise, because, maybe I've projected onto other people that, no one wants to hear my opinion outside, but like you said, that openness and that willingness to hear it and then to have a conversation about it, of their beliefs, and a respectful one. I think, nowadays in our society, it can be like, I believe this, you believe that, and like shut it down, no conversation, not wanting to talk about. But you actually have a dialogue back and forth, and a respectful one. I thought it was just refreshing, and it really like opened my eyes to see that actually, there's more to it, that actually, yes, we may have different beliefs, not even only in our faith, but, in political ideas or anything like that. But at the end of the day, we're still humans.
Yes.
And, we can still communicate and talk with each other. And sometimes that tension is a good thing, that I think we can sometimes in, our Western societies, or in modern day life in general, we're so used to ease and convenience that, everything's good and easy. But then when there's a little bit of a ruffle or a little bit of a tension or inconvenience, we run away from that. And that was cool for me to see like, there naturally is a tension here, because we believe different beliefs strongly, firmly in our faith. But we can have this conversation, not hate each other.
Yes.
We can leave this conversation, and then that's the thing. Once we had finished interviewing them, the cameras were done and all that, we actually had a conversation afterwards, of a chat with them.
And we had these two guys, guy and girl, and they were just talking about growing up in school and then learning about Jesus. But the conversation after was like, these days people are more open.
Yeah.
And to hear someone to say...
Surprising.
Right.
Yeah.
And to hear someone to say that, but also to even encourage... The question was like to encourage Christians. They're like, 100%, like share your faith.
Yeah.
And I found it so fascinating that so many people, and the answer to that question was, yes, of course you should share your faith, because that's what you believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was like it was literally like a,
Change.
It was a no-brainer. They said, yes, of course.
I, in my head, thought, we're so overly persecuted. No one wants to hear us. They'll shut us down straight away. They'll call us, you bigot, you this. They want nothing to do with us. But actually... hearing that people are actually curious and they want to know, was a complete shock for me, that, people are hungry and they want to hear. It's just, the way it is conducted. I mean, the one we interviewed, this group of girls there, and like, I know, when a conversation is going to stick with you for a long time, this was that conversation with them.
Yes.
That the one girl was saying, my grandma believes and all that there, and she's firm and all that. I heard it in school as well. I learned it then as well. But, I never really thought it was for me, because I just don't have enough information about it, and that was a complete 180, because sometimes we believe that, it's, you've got to, as someone has to, you got to go share it the right way to them, or, they're completely walls up, no one wants to hear it, they're done. But actually to hear someone say, I just don't have enough information about it.
Yes.
It shows that there's a hunger there for it, that some people, they're either indifferent about something because, that's, I don't know, two camps. Either one, they just don't believe because they've heard it and they've been hurt or whatever, and their walls are shut there. But it's seeming like with most people that, they just don't know enough about that. They know of Christians and they have heard the name Jesus before, but they don't know actually what it entails. And it got to the point which is like the one question we asked was, if Christianity was, said to be true and what it said was true and all that, which we obviously believe it is true, would you believe in it? And she was like, well, I actually don't know enough about Christianity. What what is it, you know?
Yes.
And had that awesome opportunity there to then share, you know, this is what Jesus, this was that,
That's
what he
awesome.
believes in and what we believe in, what he did for us, and, you know, and to
Yes.
actually then see that actually, you know, it's not a lack of tolerance or anything like that. It's actually a lack of understanding that
Yes.
people just don't have the resources or the information to know. It's encouraging for us as believers that, you know, we can share because people are actually hungry. They just don't know about it. Now, yes, you'll get some people that have their walls up and they don't want to hear, but it would seem like the common trend was that actually it's just a lack of information, which is encouraging that there's such an opportunity there, you know? You know, these conversations we had today that really believing that they lead to more conversations.
Yes.
You know, outside of that, people walk away thinking, oh, there's more to this, you know? And even for myself, I know I'm going to be lying in bed tonight thinking of all these conversations and like thinking of more. It also challenged me as a Christian as well to be like more bold in my faith and sharing, which is always so encouraging. I think it's good that we don't remain stale, that we get, you know, shaken up a little bit every now and then, which is great.
I totally agree. I think it was awesome.
So good.